All right, so this video is going to be a recap of this 1.4, figuring out how to draw a trend line. As practice, we're going to practice drawing trend lines with data talking about the ice cover of Lake Superior. So some background information, it says the graph below shows the annual maximum ice cover of Lake Superior in the northern part of Michigan. Notice that the data was collected from 1973 until 2013. Each data point represents the maximum ice cover for that year. The ice cover was measured by percentage. So, for example, if we saw that the lake was covered by 60% ice, then that data point would be matching with the 60 line on our graph. Okay, so good practice when you're looking at graphs. Again, just double check that you're reading the axes correctly, you have the units right, and that like everything's kind of straight in your head. We're looking at the annual maximum ice cover in Lake Superior. Again, the first data point we have is at 1973. It's every single year, all the way up until the year 2013. Again, we have percentage of ice cover ranging from 0, which means the entire lake was wide open, all the way to 100%, which means the lake was completely covered by ice. Then we get to just like take a snapshot of the data and we look at it and we're like, wow, that's a mess. Like, maybe there's a trend, maybe there's not. That's your first question there is, do you see a trend in the data? Is it positive? Is it negative? Is there no change at all? And why do you think that? Just as a recap, a positive trend would mean that we see the data going up as it heads to the right-hand side. So as time goes on, the percentage of ice cover is increasing. Or a negative trend would mean that as time goes on, the percentage of ice cover is decreasing. Or if there's no change, there's either just fluctuations happening that we can't really tell the pattern, or it's just a straight line across. All right, so that's your first job for number 4. Scroll on down. These are the steps that you're going to use to actually create a trend line on your graph. There's 5 steps. Most of them are pretty easy. There's one that's a little bit time consuming. So step A is to connect the dots on the graph. Now that's already done. You see that they're all connected, okay? So you don't have to do anything with part A. Part B, divide the picture into sections by drawing vertical lines on the graph every 5 years. So let me show you how you do that. When you click on this graph, you can click the little edit button down below, and that allows you to draw on the graph. Now we want to put a line that kind of dissects the graph so that there's chunks of 5 years, all right? So here's my little line tool. I guess I can, yeah, just a straight up line. 1973 was my first data point. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. And then here's my 5th one. So I'm just going to, where's my line thing? Here it is. I'm going to draw a line that just tells me that's going to be like the first borderline of my 5-thing graph. Then I'm going to do another 5 years. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there's another one that happens at the year 1982. Then 1, 2, 3, 4, and then here's the next one. Yikes, that was like, oh no. I understand your guys' pain with this, okay? Scoot that over a little bit. Then I have another one, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Let's see if I can line this up a little bit better. Okay, then I've got another one, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 right here. Yikes. Click back on my arrow and keep going. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Oops. Ay caramba. Like I said, I feel you guys' pain with this. All right, but we'll get through it. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. There's another one. Okay, and then the last one has like 6 data points in it. We're just going to leave it. All right, it's fine. So you can go ahead and click save and close there. So your graph should do that. I'm going to give you like 2 seconds to get that done on your graph. And then when you're ready, press play again. All right. So then the next chunk says to calculate the average of the data points within each 5-year time period that you just clumped together. So the first chunk has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 data points. Now you're probably thinking to yourself, oh my gosh, Mrs. Billy, please tell me that we don't have to like figure out what those numbers are because the graph doesn't give that much detail. Well, happy day for you. I actually found the data table that goes with it. So there is a link that I've posted that has that data. If you click on it, it looks like this. And yeah, it's super boring looking, but it's very easy to read. You care about this left-hand side that says the year, and then it says we're looking at Lake Superior, and we're looking at the amount of coverage, okay? We're not going to worry about the date, okay? We have no control over the dates. What we do care about is the year and the coverage. So we want to find the average of the first 5 years that data had been collected, which would be 1973, 1974, 75, 76, and 77. Okay, those first 5 dates. I'm going to highlight it just so I know that's where I need to stop. This is where you're going to need a calculator. If you want to use your phone, you can use it. If you have an actual calculator, I would highly recommend that, because calculating averages, it's easier to see where you've typed in mistakes. You can also do this just using Google, whatever floats your boat. So in case you forgot, to calculate average, you add up all of the data points together and divide by however many data points you have. So in our case, we're going to add together 69.8 plus 73.8 plus 64.9 plus 49.9 plus 96.0. Hit enter, all right, and you get that big old number. Now remember, we have to divide it by 5 because that's how many data points we just took, and we end up with 70.88. All right, now we're going to keep that number in our head, and we're going to go back to our graph here. When we have that average, we're going to place one dot in the middle of the section that we got that average from. All right, so now I have to click on this graph again and click edit. And this time I want to add a dot at approximately 70 to 71. All right, we're just going to do the best that we can, just estimate the location of where that dot should go. Here's 70. So just a little bit above it, we're going to place a dot. Maybe about right there. And I'm going to fill it in with red, all right, because I want it to stand out. This is my trend line. I'm going to click save and close. There's my dot. It's on my graph. It's good. Now I'm going to do the next section with you. Go back to your data table. Now we want to take the next 5 years, which would be 78, 79, 80, 81, and then we're going to stop at 82. So starting at 78 and going to 82, calculate the average. So that would be 92.5 plus 97.1 plus 77.2 plus 84.7 plus 85.3. Double check that you've typed them all in. You should get a pretty large number. And then you want to hit divide by 5. All right, and you end up with a number like 87.36. Is that right? Oh yeah, it's right. I have like another answer key that I did this morning. All right, keep that number in your head, 87-ish. Go back, edit your graph. And let's go ahead and add another dot in the middle of this second section that represents 87. So I'm like using my screen to figure out where I need to line this up. So here's 90, so just a little bit below it. Wow, that's way too big. A little bit below it. Again, I'm going to highlight it with red so that it kind of stands out. That's looking pretty good. Okay. Very quickly now, let's go ahead and do the third section, then the rest will be up to you. So the next 5 years would be 83, 84, 85, 86, and then stopping at 1987. All right, so we're starting, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're starting at 20.2. I lost my place. Okay, so 20.2 plus 88.2 plus 81.9 plus 90.7 plus 14.5. Hit enter, divide by 5. And you end up with like 59.1. Okay, if you're not getting those numbers, you need to ask some questions about how to calculate average. So then we have to go back and let's go ahead and add another dot at approximately 59. So here's 60. I'm gonna put my finger there so that way when I draw my dot, I know where it should go. Perfect, that's about right. That's about right. Okay, now you're gonna repeat this entire process until you have all the rest of these sections filled out, all right? Then when you get ready to, how do I do that? there used to be a function where I could like draw a line through all of this. Eventually, we will want to connect those red dots together with a curved line. Okay, we're not going to use a straight line that's like laser pointed through all of these points. We want to have a curved line that kind of connects all of those points together, just like what I showed you earlier. If you want to mess around with these kind of curved things, like goes here. Oh, yo, I don't know how to do this. That is not right. Don't do that. Delete. Maybe we can just draw straight lines, but pretend they're curved. Anyways, but you get the point of how to do a trend line. You're responsible for the rest of this. Rewind, rewatch, whatever you need to do. And then we'll check back together in a little bit.